War re-engineered by machines. Ukraine unveils drone assault units, blending aerial drones, ground robots, and soldiers into one coordinated force. Thousands of missions, territory reclaimed, fewer troops on the front lines. This isn't just evolution. It's a new way to fight, and it may define the future of war. Ukraine is reshaping the battlefield with a new kind of combat unit, one that blends technology with traditional infantry. The Defense Ministry in Kyiv announced on April 15th that it is introducing drone assault units, a model that integrates aerial drones, ground-based unmanned systems, and frontline soldiers into a single coordinated force. The move reflects a broader shift towards automation in warfare, aimed at reducing casualties while maintaining operational pressure on Russian forces.
A new model of warfare is being introduced. Drone assault units, which combine aerial and ground drones with infantry into a single system. This approach has already produced results in the south, where since February, a large area of territory has been liberated, precisely thanks to the use of these advanced units.
This comes as Kyiv continues to prioritize the production of cost-effective unmanned systems. Tens of thousands of ground drones have already been manufactured, with the potential to replace soldiers in high-risk combat zones. Ukrainian President Zelensky recently revealed that Ukrainian drones carried out over 22,000 frontline missions in just 3 months, illustrating the scale at which unmanned systems are now deployed. On the ground, Ukraine's top commander Oleksandr Syrskyi reported that nearly 50 square kilometers of territory were recaptured in March alone, with total gains since late January reaching around 480 square kilometers. However, the fighting remains intense. Syrskyi identified areas around Pokrovsk, as well as Oleksandrivka, Kostiantynivka, and Lyman, as among the most active sectors along the 1,200-kilometer front line. For Kyiv, the message is clear. Technology is no longer just a support on the battlefield. It is becoming central to how the war is fought and potentially how it is won. In a first for modern warfare, Ukraine says it has retaken territory from Russian forces using only unmanned systems without deploying infantry on the ground. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian troops surrendered when confronted entirely by drones and ground robotic systems.
Everyone sees the historical range of our drones at a distance of 1,750 kilometers from our border. There will be more. This is not about records, but about justice, which will find evil anywhere in the world. And our January, February, March, April FPVs will prove it. The future is already on the battlefield, and it is created by Ukraine. These are our on-the-ground robotic complexes. For the first time in the history of this war, the enemy's position was taken exclusively by unmanned platforms, NRVs, and drones. The occupants surrendered.
Zelensky did not disclose the location of the operation, but confirmed that Ukrainian forces suffered no casualties. The development marks a significant evolution in Ukraine's use of unmanned ground vehicles, or UGVs, which are increasingly replacing soldiers in high-risk combat zones. According to Ukrainian data, ground robots have carried out over 22,000 frontline missions in just 3 months, handling logistics, evacuations, mine laying, and direct assault roles. Ukraine's Defense Ministry reported that more than 9,000 such missions were conducted in March alone, a sharp rise from fewer than 3,000 in November. Zelensky framed the shift as a strategic and humanitarian breakthrough.
This operation was carried out without the participation of the infantry and without losses from our side. Ratel, Termit, Ardel, Rice, Zmei, Protector, Volya, and our other NRVs. In just 3 months, more than 22,000 missions have been carried out at the front. Life is saved. The robot went to the most dangerous zones instead of the war. This is about high tech to protect the highest value of human life. Ukraine not only does not lag behind the changes, Ukraine is among the leaders in the development of safe technologies.
Military analysts say the shift toward unmanned warfare is accelerating rapidly. One Ukrainian advisor suggested up to 30% of infantry roles could already be replaced by ground robots, potentially rising to 80% in the future. Experts also warn that autonomy is the next frontier.
Upon receiving a command to patrol a specific area, they will independently search for targets and carry out strikes. Carrier platforms will deploy swarms of attacking FPVs or high-precision missiles. The battlefield will become entirely digitized, and engagement decisions will be made within milliseconds. Over time, drones and unmanned ground vehicles will replace soldiers on the battlefield. This is our goal because human life is the most valuable resource we have.
Russian forces have already begun adapting, targeting robotic supply routes with mines and drones, but Ukraine continues to expand deployment at scale. As unmanned systems move from support roles to frontline combat, Ukraine's latest operation signals a turning point where wars may increasingly be fought and won not by soldiers on the ground, but by machines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that the Kremlin may be preparing the Russian public for major new war measures, including deeper mobilization in Moscow and St. Petersburg as authorities tighten restrictions on the Telegram messaging platform. According to Zelensky, the Kremlin's clampdown on Telegram, a key platform for both pro-war bloggers and independent Russian voices, may indicate preparations for politically costly decisions.
Putin may be preparing for people from Moscow and St. Petersburg going to the front and bringing back corpses. Perhaps it's the end of the war in one form or another, or on the contrary, an escalation of the war. Then it would mean even greater mobilization for them.
Zelensky said the move suggests Russian authorities may be seeking to manage domestic backlash through tighter information control before announcing unpopular wartime measures.
I think it's to make unpopular decisions.
Until now, Russia's mobilization has disproportionately drawn manpower from poorer and more remote regions, while major urban centers like Moscow and St. Petersburg have largely avoided the direct burden of mass conscription. Zelensky said the coming weeks should reveal whether Putin is preparing for escalation or positioning for an eventual settlement. Speaking to journalists, he said,
"Soon we will see which scenario Putin has chosen."
The warning comes despite a rare temporary 32-hour Easter truce reportedly agreed between Moscow and Kyiv for Orthodox Easter weekend. Zelensky also claimed Russia continues to expand troop levels despite suffering heavy losses on the battlefield.
"In a month, we destroy the same number of occupiers that they mobilize."
He added that Moscow is increasingly drawing from strategic reserves, weakening its military posture elsewhere. On battlefield objectives, Zelensky said Russian plans to capture Druzhkivka, Kostiantynivka, and Pokrovsk by the end of April are unrealistic. He said both Ukrainian and British intelligence assess Russia has little chance of meeting those goals within the stated timeframe. Zelensky's warning points to what Kyiv sees as a pivotal moment in the war, one where the Kremlin may soon have to choose between politically risky escalation at home or entering serious negotiations from a position of mounting battlefield and economic strain.